All right, guys, now we're hanging out with Brian Hoyer. Brian, we appreciate you taking the time, man. Obviously, you'd only been in Vegas for a bit now. I mean, how are you enjoying, the new city?
It's great. Definitely a different, climate than what I'm attuned to. But the football part of it has been great. Just getting acclimated to the city and the heat and a little bit of the elevation. But it's been awesome to, be a part of this organization, reunite with some familiar faces and get to work.
Yeah, definitely. Everyone always talks about like, oh, it's a dry heat. And like, I'm originally from California. Yeah. Either like, oh, you get used to it. Like, I've been here over 4 years. Like, you don't really get used to it.
And I run hot, so like I'm sweating, all the time.
I can imagine. And you mentioned a lot of the familiar faces. Like, how much of that was, a part of your decision to come here, just in terms of coming in and getting some comfortability?
Yeah, I mean, at this point in my career, there was only one place I was going to play, and that was for Josh and for the Raiders and, Dave Ziegler and obviously all the coaches that came. It's all my favorite coaches that I've had over the years. So it was a great opportunity and was the only opportunity that I really had any interest in.
Yeah, no, I can imagine that. That's got to be a lot of, like, just really cool to kind of dive into it that way. And so many people, they talk about just this offense in general. I've heard some guys say it's kind of like learning Mandarin. Is that a good way to describe it? And if so, or if not, how would you describe just this offense and the process of diving into it?
Yeah, I mean, look, I've been in pretty much every system, and each system's different. And, this one is the one I've spent the most time in and the one I feel most comfortable in. I think it puts a lot of responsibility on the players, especially the quarterback. But once you embrace that responsibility, it kind of opens up your eyes to the entire game, not just, what we're doing, but what the defense is doing. If they do this, then we do that. And so, like I said, for me, to get back in this system, especially from getting away from it last year, it's very refreshing for me.
Yeah, I'm sure. And like you said, like you've been in a lot of different offensive systems, teams, things like that. This is your 7th team now, I believe?
Might be more.
Or more?
I lose count.
I'm sure you do. I heard like you and Fitzy are kind of like going back and forth on it. I know he's out of the biz, but like that's just got to be like, obviously I know you probably want some continuity in places, but at the same time, that's got to be exciting to be able to like look around, look back at your career and see the landscape that you kind of touched in different fan bases as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think, look, as a player, you want to, have longevity. I mean, sometimes people get lucky. Like, I look at my old teammate, Matt Slater, 16 years in one place. I mean, that's kind of unheard of. So for me, it's always looking for that best opportunity. And especially at this point in my career, like I said, there was only one opportunity that I was interested in. And it just so happened to, open up and have a chance to come out here.
Yeah, and for you, 15th season coming up, if I remember right?
Yep.
Is there any time you sit back and you're like, wow, like 15 years? Because that's hard to do.
Yeah. I was just joking with some of the guys downstairs. Like, in my mind, I feel like I'm 28.
That's good.
And I think it's because I'm around these young guys. They keep me young. And, so for me, I feel like I can still play physically and mentally. At quarterback, you technically should get better every year. You see more. You go out and play more. And so, for me, it's a great opportunity to, continue my career. When I didn't get drafted in 2009, if you said I'd be here in year 15, I think a lot of people will probably, say no chance. But I've learned from every opportunity that I've had, whenever organization I've been with, and just try to continue and endure and overcome some adversity and keep going.
Yeah, definitely. And whenever I talk to guys that have been in the league for a while, I always love asking them if you had like your first kind of welcome to the NFL moment, if you remember that, what that is, because I think it's always kind of interesting hearing those.
I mean, I played a lot in the preseason my rookie year, and I remember the last preseason, back when we had 4 preseason games, we were having this like pregame meeting, and another quarterback and Bill O'Brien, they got like in a little fight, not a physical fight, but it was a kind of a shouting match back and forth, and I remember Billy looked at me and goes, "You're starting and you're playing the whole game." So that was, I mean, I'm like, I didn't know how, you never know how much you're going to play in those games, and I was like, all right, and I was joking with Antonio Pierce, like I go out, we're playing the Giants, and 2 years ago, they had just won the Super Bowl, and we're playing all our backups. They're playing their starters. So I look, it's like him, Justin Tuck, O.C. Umenyiora, like all those guys, and here I am undrafted playing with a bunch of other really like rookies and undrafted guys, and that was probably the welcome to the NFL moment right there.
That's awesome. Like, did you settle in after getting blasted a couple times?
Yeah, the first quarter was rough. But after those guys went out, we ended up coming back and winning the game, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, definitely. And so then fast forward, obviously you were at the Pats last year. You guys did some joint practices here. I'm sure you got a taste of like the facilities.
Yeah.
How much did that kind of factor in as well, when you were looking at where to go?
Sure. I mean, obviously knowing the majority of the coaching staff was great, but having been here last year and seeing, how incredible this facility is, playing in the stadium, I knew what I was getting myself into, and knowing that you're coming to the top facilities in the NFL.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, they're second to none. I've been in the league for a couple of years, just kind of bouncing around in different places, and so it's so cool to see something new that was built, just for you guys. For sure. So exciting stuff for sure. One thing that I had seen, just kind of reading up on you a little bit, I heard on a podcast one time you had said you and a lot of the other guys that have backed up Tom Brady, it's kind of like a brotherhood.
Yeah.
And you have a certain connection. Like, what is that connection, and why do you think that is that you guys all kind of are connected in that way?
I think just similar experiences.
Yeah.
Kind of sitting there and learning from him and experiencing his preparation and what it meant for him, how much he put into it, how the guys respected him, and just being in that room every day. I think you learn so much just by absorption. And so for me, to come back to the Patriots in 2017 and be in that room with Josh and Tom, like, at that point in my career was just so, refreshing and so, rejuvenating in a way, because to be around two guys at the top of their game was just, it was awesome.
Yeah, no, I can only imagine, and the lessons you probably took with you as well, right. and things that you're obviously going to apply here with the team. So now in your role, what's the discussion been like in the coaches, and kind of what your job is going to be here, moving forward this season?
Yeah, I mean, obviously always be prepared to play and always do the best thing you can to prepare the team, whether that's the scout team, whether that's in the meeting room, whether that's, coaching some of the guys who maybe have not been in the system for as long as I have. Obviously supporting Jimmy and being there to, help him be eyes on the sideline when he's out there playing. Maybe that's another joint thing that we all have from backing Tom up. He'd come over and have a lot of questions, and you kind of have to confirm, like, hey, yeah, this is what I saw. So to be that guy for Jimmy and be there to support him too.
Yeah, and I'm sure, is it kind of exciting because you almost are like an extension of the coaching staff as well, kind of morphing to a bit of that. I mean, how exciting is that kind of process in your journey in the NFL?
Yeah, it's cool. I mean, you kind of have this journey, like you start as a young player, you're learning, and then for me, go to a few different teams, play a lot, and then come back. And, when you back up Tom, it's a little bit different than like the last 2 years backing up Mac, like a young guy.
Yeah.
I'm still learning from him, trying to help him out. And then, you back up a young guy like Mac, who you're really, I don't want to say in that coaching role, but definitely helping him with things that, I've already experienced, and trying to share that knowledge with him. Now with Jimmy going back to another guy who's played a lot of football, it kind of comes back to that, like, being a second set of eyes and kind of, give your perspective on things and kind of that sort of thing.
Yeah, definitely. And diving into this week, obviously OTAs kicked off. For Raiders fans, it's exciting because, we had the draft, we had the schedule release, all that stuff, but now we actually get to see you guys out on the field. Many of you guys in the silver and black for the first time with your teammates. What's this week been like, and what do you look to get out of, this time?
Well, to me, it's always the best time of the offseason because you get to play football.
Yeah.
I mean, phase 1, phase 2, it's great. You get to work out, you're with your teammates, but look, we're here to play football. And so to go out there and kind of piece everything together that you've done over the first 5 weeks and, run actual plays against the defense and go out there and try to execute those, to me, it's always my favorite part of the spring.
Yeah, I'm sure at this point, like, I mean, I know, it's been a while since the season's been done. Are you guys just kind of like itching, like, man, like, again, like you said, you actually get to play real football, throw routes. You're not just kind of out there, just drilling the same exact thing. You get to do real stuff.
Yeah, and I think, that's, you kind of build in levels, right? So, get back in shape. Now you start doing some football drills in phase 2, some one-on-one with the receivers, with the tight ends, get some work with them, and now, piece it all together to finally, call a play in the huddle, break the huddle, snap the ball, read the defense, and go from there, which is, what we're here to do.
Yeah, definitely. And obviously, got some really good talent along the offense, overall. Davante Adams, one of those guys. Yeah. Have you had a chance to really communicate with him much? What's it been like working with him?
Well, it was fun watching him play last year, from afar and seeing what he did, and now to get a chance to get to work with him. I mean, it's I've played with a lot of great receivers, and what I've gotten a chance to work with him so far. I mean, he's right up there at the top of all those guys, and what he's able to do with his size and speed is just kind of unprecedented in my opinion.
Yeah, no, I can imagine. And like you said, you're probably asking and answering a lot of questions. Yeah. What's that process like with the teammates, just in terms of really diving into things? I guess, we can't get into too much detail on that, but like, what are the type of questions that they are asking, what you're kind of teach them and kind of, growing this team with?
I mean, like you said, there's a lot of new guys. There's guys who were here last year, but it was the first year, so they're kind of getting that recall in the second season. And for me, is whether it's my first year or whatever year, as a quarterback, it's your job to communicate all those things to, especially the skill players, but the line, the running backs, so you take that, you don't take that lightly. That's your job. And so for me, with the experience I have, I'm out there, hey, get your split right, or on this route, do this. And I think that's another thing you learn from, sitting behind Tom. His communication with his skill players was, on a different level. He was constantly talking, having meetings with those guys. So I think that's a huge part of being in a system where, there's a lot of things that happen after the snap. And so, just trying to see it through the same set of eyes, and to get to work with all these guys has been great.
Yeah, and this is the time, obviously, where the foundation is built kind of for what you guys are going to build off of come mini camp, training camp, all that stuff. But away from the field, too, we talked about, like, you're getting used to being in Vegas and whatnot. Have you had a chance to kind of explore your new city at all a little bit? And if so, what's your take on it all?
Yeah, definitely a lot of excitement. Yeah. To be honest with you, the first time I ever came to Vegas was last year when we came to practice against you guys. So, a lot of excitement for me, drive up and down the Strip and see everything that's going on, and, just searching out the different communities, trying to find a place to live. So a lot of exploring, because, we get done at a certain time, and there's some time to kill. My family's not out here with me yet, so kind of doing some recon for them and that type of thing.
Yeah, definitely. I will say, like I said, I've been here over 4 years. You still never get used to driving by the Strip. It's always that wow, I actually live in Vegas.
Yeah, true.
It's kind of trippy seeing that. But anyway, Brian, man, we really appreciate the time. Yeah, obviously, all very excited to have you in the silver and black, and can't wait to see what you guys can do.
All right, thanks.
Of course, thank you.